Today we're going to be changing out the fuel pump on a 2008 Lincoln Navigator. This thing drove great. Got home one night, got up the next morning, go to work, tried to crank it, cranked right up, and it started hesitating, doing some weird stuff, and just went dead. So chased it down, figured out it's going to be the fuel pump. They have a very limited amount of time before it rains again. So you're going to try to get it done as quick as possible. But first thing you're going to do is just going to disconnect your battery, and then we'll get underneath here. You got your fuel tank. It's just a plastic one, and it's got two straps. It's got one that's going to be down here and another one that's towards the front of the tank right here, and they're just strapped in up at the top. You can see the bolt up there. There's one on each side. So I'm going to try to disconnect as much as I can from the top of it before we disconnect those bolts. The very back of the vehicle, first thing I'm going to unhook is this hose right here going to the tank. You can disconnect it right here, right at the tank. Or if you follow it up, there's another hose up here. I'll move the light a little bit, we're going to see it better, maybe. And you can disconnect there, but I'm gonna probably just disconnect here and try to get it loose. Camera in here, but up above the filler neck, there is, I'm not sure if my phone's gonna fit up here. I have to turn it sideways, but this guy right here, and you can barely see that red button on the bottom of it. But there's a red button there and one on top. We'll push that and disconnect it. Easier to see, it kind of has the ribbed cable to it. You just kind of have to keep wiggling back and forth and it will pull loose from there. Now we're going to remove this guy here, and there's another one that's up here we're going to remove. So these are kind of like clip type things. You can see the white here and the white on this other side, and I just pushed it up a little with my finger. And then from the top you can just pull it up a little bit more. And then once you got it pulled up some, you can just pull it off like that. And the same thing on the one up there. I've got a motorcycle jack, which is going to make this a lot easier. I just disconnected the front and the back straps, letting them hang. I'm about to go on the other side and try to see if there's enough room to wiggle them loose. The drive shaft's kind of worrying me. So I was able to get the bracket on this side off. The rear one, you can see it back here. I just kind of rotated to the side. Got a little bit of room up here. I'm just going to lower the jack stand down if I get my hand on it. Just lower it down a little bit here. And you can see it moving about 6 inches or so. That way I can disconnect some fuel lines. So the thing you got to be careful with is you don't want to put too much pressure on either one of these. So now I've got this down to here. I'm going to get my fuel line wrenches to where I can disconnect them. To disconnect the fuel line from the fuel filter here. So I've got the tool in it, and basically you just have to, and I can't do it with one hand I don't think, but you just push this in and put just a tiny bit of pressure pulling back on this, and you have to remove this safety clip to be able to get the tool in there. So this first electrical connector, real easy to get out, little push button tab. Push it, just pull it backwards. About to try to tackle this guy, if I can reposition to get back over here. This guy right here, it's got a red locking tab on the top, and I think it'll push backwards and that red thing will come out. I'm gonna have to see what I can do to get it out. So, save you guys some trouble, I'd went ahead and disconnected these two lines right here from the fuel filter. You don't have to do that because it's attached coming from the fuel pump. But you do have to disconnect the fuel line on this side of the fuel filter. So I disconnected it and it was seized up real bad, so it took a little while. But dropped the tank down to be able to get this view. That connector can get pretty tight pretty quick, so I disconnected it as quick as possible and then about to disconnect that one. So I got it out. I ended up, I'm sure there's a way you don't have to do this, but I just dropped the sway bar. It was a lot easier just to go ahead and take the 4 bolts out and drop the sway bar. But that little pin that was on this thing, to make it easier for you guys, it just slides out this direction. You take it out and then this pulls off. So about to clean off the top real good, and then switch out the pump. Move this in our garage because it's about to start pouring down rain again. They make a special tool to get this off. I'm just gonna put a C-clamp on it, try to knock it off. Get everything put back together. Old fuel pump over there. Dropping that sway bar made a huge difference, being able to get that in or out. And just put everything back together as a reverse, taking it apart. Hook up the 3 connections in the back of the fuel tank, hook up all the ones in the front. I re-primed the fuel filter, fuel pump, just by turning off and on a few times. So we'll see if she'll work. Oh yeah, good noise. So just gonna let this thing run for a little while, make sure, don't really check engine light codes or whatever, but hope this helps.